Today, we're going to talk about a shoe that HOKA claims is a grippy, responsive ride for technical terrain. Today, we're going to talk about the HOKA Speedgoat 6. Hey runners, and welcome to my channel. My name is Letty and I also host the weekly marathon running podcast, which I invite you to listen to during your runs. But let's get started with this review. This shoe has been provided to me for the purpose of review. However, no one is paying me for this review and all opinions expressed here are my own. Hey runners, my name is Letty and I also am the host of the weekly marathon running podcast where we talk about all things running, training tips, etc. I invite you to listen to that. It's available on all platforms. But let's get started with this shoe review. Now, as you might have noticed, this is a trail shoe that we're reviewing. It's our first trail shoe that we're reviewing for no other reasons that we don't run trails as much. Not to say that we are not familiar with trail running and don't love trail running. It's just not happening as much as we would want to at this point in our lives. But I'm very excited to do this review for you. And to begin with, we're going to talk about the fun fact where the name Speedgoat even came from. The name Speedgoat comes from a man, a trail runner named Carl Speedgoat Meltzer. Speedgoat was his nickname. He had a great reputation in the trail running community and has won many 100-mile races, including the Hard Rock 100 5 times and the Wasatch Front 100-miler 6 times. Eventually, while running these races in 1998, he was seen by someone who said, "Ooh, what a Speedgoat." So he was coined with that nickname. And after his career was coming towards the end, he knew a lot about trails and trails running and what was needed in a shoe. So he collaborated with HOKA to create a shoe. And of course, the name Speedgoat was a perfect fit. Another thing that I find interesting and almost amusing about the shoe is that the shoe is made in collaboration with Vibram, which if you've been running for as long as I have, about 15 years, you might remember that there used to be the Vibram 5 Fingers, which was a shoe that literally separated each toe from one another, almost like those toe socks. And those shoes were super minimalist and popular around 2009, 2010, maybe 2011. And then HOKA gained popularity shortly thereafter, going from the minimalist to the maximalist shoes, because you had the Vibram that had literally nothing. You could feel the ground, every pebble on your feet, and just had something to protect your shoes. And then there was HOKA with the huge platform underneath. And now these shoes are made in collaboration, which is just kind of another fun fact for you guys. But enough history, enough stories about the shoe. Let's hop into the model and purpose of the shoe. The HOKA Speedgoat 6 is a trail shoe. It has been designed for technical terrain, good traction, a comfortable fit, and durability. Now, when you look at the tech specs of the shoe, which are available on the HOKA website, you just kind of have to scroll down. We can see that this shoe comes in at a 8.2 ounces for women and a 10.2 ounces for men when it comes to weight. There is a 5 millimeter drop from 40 to 35 for men's and 38 to 33 millimeters for women. Now, when it comes to the cushioning of the shoe, you can see that HOKA lists their shoes as balanced, responsive, or plush. And in this case, this shoe is listed as balanced. Now, when it comes to the key features of this shoe is more lightweight than its predecessor. And that has something to do perhaps with the upper that HOKA chose for this product. It's a mesh upper that is engineered to still be supportive. I like the upper, and I especially like the suede-like fabric of the thinner tongue. At the same time, this upper is also created to be very sturdy. This shoe also contains the Vibram Mega Grip outsole that we were speaking about earlier in order to have good traction on a variety of terrain. And this shoe also has protective layers that are supposed to shelter your feet against debris and rocks. I especially like the toe bumper and the fact that the shoe also has a pull tab in the back. Just like other HOKA models, this shoe comes in a variety of colors. For women, we have the colors Gull, Stormy Skies, Black Aloe Vera, Stellar Gray Asteroids, Varsity Navy and Meteor, Sherbet and Beetroot, which is the one that we have at hand, and Satellite Gray Stardust. As for the men's shoes, this shoe is also available in Gull, Stormy Skies, Antique Olive Squash, Black Stardust, Galactic Gray and HOKA Blue, Stormy Skies, Aqua Breeze, and again Sherbet Beetroot. As for the price point of this shoe is smack in the middle of most trail running shoes at $155. Now, comparing the shoe to other trail running shoes, we're going to compare it to the Merrell Agility 5. This shoe has less protection, but the Merrell is a little bit heavier. Both of them are great rides. This one I feel like is a little bit more snug, whereas the toe box seems to be wider in my case for the Merrells. Also comparing it to its predecessor, the Speedgoat 5, this shoe is a little bit lighter and the upper has changed to a more synthetic material. A lot of people feel like this shoe doesn't breathe as well as its predecessor. I didn't have any trouble with that, but again, I was not running a 100-mile race with it. I was running, maybe 8 to 10 miles in it. I'm not sure what happens once you hit that barrier of running more miles, but the shoe still felt pretty breathable to me. All right, so let's talk about my first impression of the shoe. When I first received the shoe, took it out of the box, I was very pleased with the not just color of the shoe, but also color pattern. As you can see, there's some sort of a pattern going on, which is just perfect for trail running, because when you go trail running, your shoes will get muddy and dirty and everything. And having this pattern on there almost allows it to get dirty without it being so noticeable. Another thing, and we already talked about, that I noticed is the Vibram. I also noticed how the outsole has changed from its previous model, making it look more like a goat hoof, with this not having anything but the traction going all the way around here. Like I mentioned before, I like the toe bumper and I like the latch in the back that helps you put the shoe on. And that was basically it. So I'm now going to show you the footage of me running in this shoe, and I'm also going to show you something that I do not recommend anyone does, which is I'm going to show you the shoe and what it looked like after a week of trail running in it, and then I'm going to stick it in the washer and you'll see what the shoe looks like when it comes back out.
Hi, we're going on a trail run. It's going to be a bumpy and rocky pathway. Oh, I hear Cat. I better run.
See how they go? And this is the magical shoe. So let's get started. And this is a shoe post running on the trails, mud and everything. So I'm going to show you what they look like after I throw them in the washer. And they came out looking just like a new pair of shoes. Woohoo! So yeah, this is actually the washed shoes. No problem with it. If you let it air dry and you wash it on gentle, you can also hand wash it. I feel like we only use these running shoes for 300, 400, 500 miles. What's a wash? Most shoes hold up pretty well when I wash them and look brand new and feel just like they did before. Just don't stick them in the dryer. But let's talk about how I like this shoe. I feel like this shoe was very, very grippy. And we were running in the Los Angeles, Malibu canyons, YourState State Park. So we had a mix of mud, gravel, loose terrain, dirt, and everything. And not one time did I slip with the shoe, whereas my friends that were running with me, a few of them ate it, and I am very prone to slipping, and this shoe has some really, really good traction. That was really great about the shoe. My foot felt like it was locked in place the whole time without having to put it super tight. I didn't feel restricted in the toe box or anything like that. It was just very grippy. Also, I want to address the durability of the shoe. This shoe I used mostly on terrain, but because of luggage restriction and because I wanted to see how this shoe would hold up on the road, I did wear it for a few road runs, and I was very surprised to see very little wear on these outsoles, which means that, the rubber of the outsole is pretty sturdy. Obviously, if you're running on the road with it, eventually it'll not hold up, but it did pretty well. Addressing the breathability of the shoe, I didn't have any issues with it. Again, we were running in California climates, so I wasn't running in my usual Floridian environment, but I feel like I don't think I would have a problem with the breathability, especially given that the tongue, as I mentioned, is very thin here. And normally the problem with the breathability for me personally derives because of excessive sweating in humid temperatures where the tongue just gets soaked. That can't happen here because it's not the material to do that. So I was very happy with that as well. In summary, I believe that the HOKA Speedgoat 6 is a great trail shoe. Is it the best trail shoe out there? I'm not sure, right? There's a ton of other ones out there for you guys to try and for me to try as well. But I think this is a great starting point. I don't think you can go wrong with wearing that. Also, I'm going to tell you guys to take into huge consideration other shoe reviews by trail runners who have spent more than 10 miles at a time in this shoe to see how it holds up long term. Did their feet start bleeding? I don't know. Trail runners are kind of crazy, right? Especially the 100-milers and stuff. So I can't tell you whether you should use this for a 100-mile run or not, but definitely for your weekly trail runs when you're running 10, 12 miles or so, you can do that. And for any more mileage, consult with them. So that wraps up the Speedgoat 6. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for other videos that you'll find on this channel. Consider subscribing. And until next week, have a great week of running.